Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining this social innovation webinar. My name is Estefania Fernandez. I'm a lecturer for project management, innovation, and entrepreneurship, startup mentor, and entrepreneur myself. This is my second business. I am the founder of eBloom, the e-learning academy focused in social innovation and entrepreneurship, where we learn the theoretical concepts about the frameworks that help us to innovate and the agile methodologies, and we put them in practice while we increase our network in virtual workshops where we co-create solutions for a real problem. We co-create solutions to solve a real problem. But let's get started with really understanding what's innovation, what's social innovation, where and how can we innovate, and then we will end up by explaining how do we foster this social innovation. So let's get started with the main concept, but in order to reflect a bit more about it, I would like to start with this question. Was the will an innovation? Yes, no? Is the will an innovation or an invention? What is the difference between invention and innovation? Let's focus on these three main concepts because in order to innovate, we have to be creative and we have to have an invention. Creativity is the act of turning a new and imaginative idea into reality. That's creativity. We create something. An invention is we create actually a total new idea or concept. And the innovation is turning this invention into a commercial success or widespread use. So this is where we find innovation. Innovation is this commercialization of the invention. And according to IDEO, which is the most popular innovation consultancy in the world, we have these three lenses of innovation. And they say that in order to find this sweet spot of innovation, three main aspects have to meet. First one is desirability. Second, feasibility. Third, viability. What does it mean? Desirability, someone wants it. Feasibility, we can create this value. Viability, we are able to capture this value. And when we talk about value, because in order to, when we talk about businesses or organizations, everything is creating value, solving a problem. And for that, we need resources. And for the resources, we have to capture the value. So it's this will that makes us sustainable and in a long term. So we want to create a value that someone wants and needs, that we are able to create, but that we can capture this value, we can commercialize it and have an impact in order to, again, basically have the resources to create the value again. There is one thing about innovation. Innovation almost never fails due to a lack of creativity. We're all creative, and that's the thing is also like we can learn to be creative. That's also one thing that we are actually learning in eBloom. But it's almost always because of a lack of discipline. Having ideas is actually easy. We all have ideas all the time. The thing is, we have to execute those ideas in order to have a value. So how do the frameworks of innovation help us to do this? Well, we have processes, and in the processes, we basically induce something that we call the divergent thinking and then the convergent thinking. What are these two things? Divergent thinking is when we look for a quantity of ideas. We are not judging. We are just being creative, playful. We are spontaneous. We are driven by emotions, and we don't judge ideas. Convergent thinking is being analytical and rational and basically take this data and analyze it and choose one idea, focus on accuracy and reduce risks. So what does how do the frameworks help us to innovate? As I said, there's a process. And for example, here this convergent and divergent thinking, we explain it in our course of design thinking, where we explain the double diamond, which is basically having this divergent and convergent thinking twice. As you say, it looks like a rhombus. So we have a process, and we are guiding people to have a lot of ideas, then to focus on 1, 2 winner ideas, and then again, like going through this process twice. What is then social innovation? It's innovating, creating this value and capturing the value, but to improve the welfare and well-being of individuals and communities. So the point of eBloom here is innovation is needed in any single aspect nowadays, in every single organization, also in NGOs. That's why we also give our training for free for NGOs. We believe that they should also be creative and innovative. So we do foster this innovation for the NGOs, but also for the businesses, in order to think always in the welfare and well-being of individuals and communities. We want to train the future leaders to be more, to have the right mindset, to be innovative, and to care about people and environment first, rather than in growth, like we always learn in the business schools. No? So where and how can we innovate? We can innovate in products and services, in processes and business models. The truth is, like 90% of the organizations, they innovate in products and services. That's something we call incremental innovation. And that happens a lot in, for example, cars or mobiles, or in software as a service. We always introduce new features, etc. Processes is basically, most of the companies do it. It's reducing costs, is increasing safety, and it is also efficiency. No, we're talking about efficiency, and every single company wants to be efficient. Business models, that's something else. Only 10% of the organizations innovate in business model. And actually, the most successful companies are those who were able to disrupt the industry. And that was basically this innovation in this business model. So if it's like so obvious and so easy, why is only the 10%? Well, because it's not that easy, actually. And the process of innovation is not only having ideas, it's implementing them, and etc., etc. And it's always starting with the right mindset. That's why we're here. We're starting with the mindset. Let's see this example, BMW. This is an example of product innovation in the first picture. It's obvious that cars they always have new models, new cars that have better features, etc., nicer designs, because market and trends are changing, so we have to adapt to the market. Processes, of course, sometimes not even because we want to, but there is a law that actually obliges us to implement specific safety measures, whatever. So we always have to innovate in processes too. What about the business model? And this is a successful case because BMW, for example, understood that if they don't do this innovation, someone else is going to do it. No? So why so difficult? Because think about this. The main business of this company is selling cars. And now we have another business that is helping people to avoid buying a car and renting it and pay per minute instead. So that's a kind of a conflict of interests eventually. But at the end, as I said, if they don't do it, someone else is going to do it. So they want to be ahead of the curve. How can we innovate? There are three main ways to innovate. The first one is by accident. That happens a lot in the laboratories when maybe someone is mixing some substances and by accident they create a new product or like for this an example, Viagra was meant to be a treatment for hypertension, and super glue was meant to be transparent material for suitable for plastic refill sites. And then we have this accident and we create a new product or service. By genius, here we have Einstein, but we can think about Steve Jobs or some visionaries that we always call them visionaries or successful entrepreneurs, and we always give the same examples, right? And there are so many other successful entrepreneurs that they have created several innovations, and they are not so well known, but yeah, sometimes we find this kind of people, but normally most of us, we're not geniuses. And if we don't want to depend on our luck and innovate by accident, then we learn innovation. And how we learn innovation? We learn the frameworks that help us to innovate. This is called systematic innovation. These basically processes that help us to come from convergent to divergent thinking and help us to follow this process and find a result and co-create also with other people. If we think about the organization, we find these frameworks as an example of the basically the steps of the company. When we talk about a business, again, it's always create value in order to capture value. So to create the value, the value is solving the needs or wants of someone. So we're focusing on what's the real problem, and for that we have a framework like design thinking that help us to really understand the problem in order to create the best solution. Then when we talk about the solution, and then we are creating this value, and we can talk about frameworks such as Lean Startup that help us to validate those assumptions, validate those ideas, and how we do it. We built a minimum viable product, MVP, and we always try to adjust. Why is this important? Design thinking, Lean Startup, we can learn all this agile and innovation method. Actually, agile comes now in the value production when we actually work in this is in the process and the agility of the teams, etc. And the point here is they all start with some principles and mindsets: being agile, being flexible, embrace failure, etc., etc. And how do we in eBloom use all this? Okay, so here there is a link of that leads you to the video of our first experiment, our first group of students who actually participated. They learned the theoretical concepts of innovation. They participated in a live workshop, and with the winner idea, we work it on an agile process to create a prototype. Yeah, so in an MVP. In this case, this is how we've done it. We start with the Why Innovation Matters masterclass that gives us an introduction to innovation and the frameworks, and why is this important, and what's convergent and divergent thinking. How can we create? How can we train our creativity? Where the good ideas come from, etc. Then we learn the design thinking process. We have to learn the process. We have to learn the importance of diversity, the importance of collaboration. And again, we're training this mindset to be open and to follow this process. We actually, after this course, you can apply to participate in this live workshop, and you can apply to participate as a team member or as a facilitator. That's when you expose yourself in order to gain experience and therefore gain confidence. If you participate as a team member, you will receive a link for a type form to give constructive feedback to the facilitators. And if you are applying as a facilitator, you will receive a specific training with a checklist how to organize a workshop. The workshop is designed, and it's actually happening in a virtual whiteboard from our partner Nova Tools. And there you find every single step with the time boxing. Everything is designed so it's pretty easy, and you always have help from moderator. So this is when the magic happens, when people come together and we play. We are actually looking for ideas, and normally in here in eBloom, we're focusing on a real challenge. So for every design thinking workshop, we have to have a challenge. This challenge for us comes from one of our NGO partners for a specific real need, a real problem. So we are learning by not only by doing, but learning by helping, because we're helping an NGO. What happens after the workshop? Well, normally, as I said, when there's a process, divergent, convergent thinking, we choose, there is a winner idea. In this case, in the first experiment, in the first round of students, the NGO was Back to School Africa, and the problem is how can we create a more creative fundraising campaign to pay the fees to go back to school for children who are actually out of school in Nigeria. The fees for school cost 40 euro per year, and the very average salary is 50 euro per month. But if there's, like, for example, a monoparental family with several kids, is actually complicated. So many children are out of the school at a really early age. And here we are fostering also, we are fighting for the right of education. We are fighting for the SDG 4, quality education for everyone. So we thought it was a perfect challenge. We work on it. The winner idea was hashtag coffee for edu. In this case, we thought that it will be nice if people will donate with the coffee they drink. And then the idea actually got a bit more developed, and the final project is a coffee cup, a reusable coffee cup, when we are in times of reducing only one-use products. So this is reusable, environmental friendly, and a sustainable business for this NGO. Why? Because like this, we're not asking data for the donors. There are not recurrent payments or commitment. People buy one mug, and this margin goes directly to these children. This is one of the examples. Now we're going to have a second challenge that is also with for female empowerment and in entrepreneurship. And if you click here, you will see how everything looks like: the website, the virtual workshop, etc., etc. So that was the explanation how eBloom fosters social innovation and what's the process we follow. The end part for a student, after completing the whole process, you will get a certificate as social innovator. You will have increased your network. You will have learned, of course, the methodologies of innovation and agile, because after the workshop we learn agile methodologies. We have a specific course from waterfall to agile, and then Scrum, and we work in a sprint. So we actually, for every single learning that we take, either on video on the website or on our app on Google Play, by listening to the video, to the course, then you take this knowledge into action while you're actually making something with impact and meeting like-minded people. So that's everything from my side. We are actually, it's almost 20 minutes video. If you have any questions, you can email us at
a-bloom.net. You can get into our website, and there is a section for contact. And at the moment, it's actually we are running everything, so it's like very, very affordable. It's only a subscription of €9.99 per month, but you have a free trial of for a month. So take the advantage now to be our first eBloomers. Then after, it will be actually a master, and it will not have this amazing price. So go to a-bloom.net and register. Then you can have this free trial for a month, do your courses, and then you decide if you want to participate in the workshop, yes, no, and if you want to become a facilitator or just want to be a team member. Okay, thank you very much and have a nice evening.